Unlike the functionalist and the conflict perspective that views society from the macro perspective, the symbolic interactionism perspective views the society from the micro level. The symbolic interactionist perspective sees the society as a product of everyday interactions of people doing things together. To understand symbolic interactionism, we must first understand what a symbol is. Symbols are things that represent something else. These includes gestures, signs, objects, signals, and words. For example, when we see a stop sign, we know it is telling us to stop. When we see a person wearing a gold watch, we know that he might be from a slightly more well-to-do social class. When we see two person hugging, we know they are intimate. Symbols are things that help us understand the world around us. Without symbols, it will be hard to navigate the world we live in. One problem with the symbolic interactionism perspective is this: people interpret these symbols differently. According to the symbolic interactionist perspective, people attach meanings to symbols, and then they act according to their subjective interpretation of these symbols. In communication, there is always a sender and a receiver. To ensure effective communication, the interpretation of a symbol should be the same for both the sender and the receiver. However, we know that this is not always the case. According to the symbolic interactionist perspective, sociologists studies how people react to others based on their subjective interpretation of the symbols around them. One sociologist who embraces the symbolic interactionist perspective is Charles Horton Cooley. He thinks that people base their sense of self on how they believe others view them. According to Cooley, the reaction of a person can be broken down into 3 steps. 1. An individual in a social situation imagines how they appear to others. 2. That individual imagines others' judgment of that appearance. And finally, 3. The individual develops feelings about these perceived judgments and responds to them. Critics argue that symbolic interactionism neglects the big picture because they are focusing too closely on the small things in life. Other critics argue that the qualitative nature of the symbolic interactionism perspective was seen to be unscientific. What are your thoughts on the symbolic interactionist perspective? Let us know in the comments below. Do subscribe to us for more bite-sized sociological content. Also, if you'd like to support me in the generation of more contents like this, you may also support me via Patreon. Linked below. Thank you for watching.